I've been unemployed for 2.5 years now, and I exhausted my unemployment benefits, and I understand that the Republicans are very concerned about not adding to the federal deficit, and I don't want to add to the federal deficit, but at the same time, we are in a serious emergency in this country, and we should have a safety net for people who are unemployed through no fault of their own. I think it's a disgrace that the greatest country in the world, the most prosperous country in the world, is not helping, I believe, 9 to 20% of their population who are unemployed past 99 weeks and have exhausted their unemployment benefits and are being thrown to the wolves. When we have money for wars, and we have money to give to foreign countries who paid our guts and would annihilate us given the opportunity, and we're giving billions of dollars to countries, and we're not helping our own citizens. Thirdly, I'm here in New York, and right now the rents in New York are about as astronomical as I've ever seen them. Apartments that were going for $700 a month in the 90s are now going for $2,000 a month. You have to be a mega millionaire to live in this city, and that was purposely engineered by George Pataki and Joe Bruno and the Republicans in Albany back in the 90s, who did away with rent regulations, and that's why the rents in New York City are so high, and also because of Mayor Bloomberg as well. He is at fault just as much. And it's a disgrace that good people can't afford to live in the city any longer. People who have lived in New York City all their lives have had to move out of the city and live in places where they feel miserable and they don't feel connected. And I think that people should be able to live where they want. I'm not saying that everybody should live in a mansion, but the city should be affordable. It shouldn't be just for the rich. I think that's a total disgrace. And that's about all I have to say.
What are some of the options you've explored in your situation? Like, where are you staying right now?
Right now, I'm living basically on the street, and I'm trying to be very smart and savvy about it without getting myself killed.
I feel like I can.
And I'm looking into places, various shelters. I was in a shelter a couple weeks ago, and it was just unbearable, and I left. I was there for about 3 or 4 hours, and it was just disgusting and scary, and I couldn't take it.
Where was that?
That was on 32nd Street in Manhattan.
What was disgusting about it?
It was disgusting because there was no toilet paper, and this was supposed to be one of the better shelters in the city, I was told. There was no toilet paper. When I first went there, I was treated in a degrading way by the security people. They told me I should get rid of my suitcase, and that I had 2 days to get rid of my suitcase and get a 20 by 20 suitcase, which I thought was strange, making financial demands on people who don't have money. And a woman who I believe was on drugs, inadvertently, I believe, sprayed hairspray in my face and my mouth, and that was it. And I couldn't take it anymore. I'm not.
Like while you were sleeping or something?
No, I was sitting next to her. I was sitting right next to her. She started spraying, went into my mouth and my face, and I said, you know what? I can't take this. And it was also, I would have been subjected to sleeping in the same room with men. That's what they told me that they do. They put women and men in the same room, and they have one guard, supposedly. Oh, no, thank you. I'm not okay. Right now, I'm okay for money right now, but it's just that I need a place to live and a place to work. But thank you very much. You're very nice. Very nice. That's okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. And it's a very sad situation that, because not everybody who's homeless is a junkie or a drug addict or has mental problems, but right now, and people need to face up to this, there's a lot of people who have lost their homes because of the economy. Not because of any fault of their own, but simply because the economy is the way it is. And I think that we need to change leadership in 2012. I also believe that as well.
What do you do to keep safe, to feel safe without having, what do you said, some of the ways of being smart?
What I try to do is to stay by avenues where there's a police precinct nearby, where the cop cars are constantly patrolling. I try to stay in areas where there's a lot of traffic, like cabs, taxi cabs, pedestrian traffic, as much as you can have pedestrian traffic late at night. That sort of thing, where I'm visible, so that if anybody passing by sees something ominous happening to me, they'll be able to see it, and I'll have witnesses. So the more witnesses I feel that I have, the less likely I believe something bad is going to happen to me. Whereas if I'm hiding in some hole in the wall somewhere where no one can see me, that I would feel vulnerable. I wouldn't do that. But I try to stay visible as possible, like on a bench outside of a store, that sort of thing.
And in terms of actually getting a job, have you tried to go into places and stuff, or like what brought you to the fact that you're just going to hold a sign up on the street? Like what? Because I can feel that sense of like you're just so fed up. Because I'm searching.
I think that I think that the internet is great for a lot of things, but the internet I think has been a real obstacle in people getting a job these days, because all the companies tell you, no, we don't want you to come in and fill out an application. We want you to do the application over the internet. The problem with that is they don't get to meet you. They don't get to see, your essence and who you are. You don't stand out. And if you don't use the proper keywords in your cover letter, you have to use certain keywords that they want to hear that'll pop up. It's very I can't explain it. It's very impersonal, and I think that the internet has been a detriment to people looking for a job. I think going through an employer and filling out an application and meeting them, and even if it's not for an interview, but just briefly meeting them, I think is much more conducive to getting a job than applying over the internet where they can't see you and you're just a piece of paper. So I think the internet has been a detriment to me. I've applied for jobs over the internet for 2.5 years now. I had maybe 2 responses. I came close in Pennsylvania with the University of Pennsylvania, and I did get an interview. It was my one and only interview in 2.5 years, but they hired somebody who was more familiar with their campus.
What was the job for?
It was like a courier job.
Like, what would you say your skill sets are?
My skill sets are sales, which is probably another reason why I'm in the predicament that I'm in, because sales has been very difficult for me, and I think the older you get, it's more difficult to do well in sales. You don't have the fire that you do when you're younger, when you're 20 years old.
And may I ask, have you had a partner at any point in your life, like a companion that you were sharing economic responsibility with?
That's another good point. I've been alone my whole adult life. I'm 48 years old, and I've never had a partner, and that's been a problem too. I mean, not that I would want to be with someone for financial reasons, but it certainly helps. But I haven't had that, and I'm pretty much out here on my own right now, and I'm pretty desperate, and I don't feel comfortable doing this. I'm not proud about doing this, but I figure I have nothing else to lose.
Have you walked into any stores or any places and just asked them on the spot, and what are some of the reactions?
Well, when I've done that over the past 2.5 years since I've been unemployed, like I say, they tell me, we want you to apply
online. Sorry,
online.
Right.
Just apply online, and you send off your resume over the internet, and you don't know if they even got it, or they'll send you. Some people send you a confirmation, some don't, but you never hear from them. And I'm sure that's the experience with a lot of people who have been applying for jobs. And it's just a different ball game now that the internet is involved, and I don't think it's good for job seekers, in my opinion.
And what's your next step? You're going to try another place you were mentioning before?
To live in?
Yeah.
I'm going to try a place that's a temporary place to live in, that's run by nuns, and hopefully it will become more than temporary. I'm hoping, because I've heard a lot of nice things about this place. But I do want to stay away from the city shelters. I don't want to have, I'm too old to deal with people, beating me up or stealing my belongings and the things that I've heard that that happen in shelters. I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't deserve it. And
so you feel safer on the street on your own than you do in a shelter, basically, is what you're saying?
Yeah. And my experience with the shelter has been very brief, like I said, but just seeing the whole scene from when I was there and the experience of the few hours that I was there, I just couldn't stand it. So, and to think that people have lived like that for months or years, I can't imagine it. I just can't imagine it.
And what has been the reaction to people here seeing you, like on the street where you hold the sign and stuff?
That's a great question. I think most people look away, and I think it's because they know that they could be in my shoes at any given point because this economy is so horrible, and it's very scary to a lot of people, so they don't want to face up to it, so they look away, and I understand that. I completely understand that. It's very scary. But I think that it all boils down to, the leadership, both in the federal government, the president, Governor Cuomo. I think people need to step up to the plate and, stop making it difficult for employers to hire people, because employers are scared to hire right now because they're being burdened with regulations from the president. They're afraid that they can't afford the president's health care bill, and they're not hiring because of that. And I just think that employers have their hands tied behind their backs, and they're not hiring because they're just afraid of the uncertainty of what Washington is doing. And I think that we need to change leadership. I truly believe that. I know that that's something that the liberal media doesn't want to hear because they're all in love with Obama, but that's the fact of the matter. If I could sum up this country's economic woes in 2 words, I would say Barack Obama.
Do you think it's really fair to pin all the responsibility on him?
Not all of it. It certainly started at the end of Bush's term as president, but Mr. Obama turned, I believe it was a $4 trillion deficit into a $13 trillion deficit. He has spent money like a drunken sailor, and we haven't reaped any rewards from it, and he wants to spend more money, and he started a war that we didn't belong getting involved in with Libya. He's given money to Brazil to help them drill for oil when we should be drilling for oil in this country.
Or not drilling at all and looking for renewables.
Or
investing in renewables,
or
rather.
Doing something regarding natural gas. But I'm telling you my opinion. That's my opinion.
Right.
I think there's a lot of blame to go around, but I think the fact that this president has and his wife have stated that they have bad feelings about this country and they don't think it's fair that we have a prosperous lifestyle, it makes me think that he wants people to be struggling.
Where did they state that?
His wife has said that. His wife said when he was running for president and he was doing well in the primary, she said, "This is the first time I felt proud of this country." That's when her husband started to do well in the primaries. When Barack Obama was running for president, I heard him say on a radio clip, he said that Americans should not be allowed to eat as much as they want. And he wasn't talking about obesity. He was talking about fairness. He said it wasn't fair that Americans live as well as they do. And I think that he's trying to cut this country down to size. I think he has a chip on his shoulder when it comes to this country. And I think that he could be doing a lot of things. Least of all, the worst thing he could do, and I'm not an expert on the economy, but any novice can tell you don't raise taxes in an economy like this, and he's calling for raising taxes, which is absolutely suicidal. And every economic expert says that's the wrong way to go. And he's causing the markets to die because of it. Every time he opens his mouth.
I really feel bad for President. I gotta say, because he's in the crossroads, of like so many influences, and he gets all the rap for stuff that's just not even probably in his control, as much as we wish it was.
I think he's pretty much a puppet for people who are doing things. I think he's pretty much a puppet for people like George Soros and people like that. But I think he is certainly, whoever's in charge, he wanted to be president. He said that he knew how to fix the situation. He's been president for almost 4 years now, and he's made the situation worse, and that's a fact. Whether you like him or dislike him, he has made the situation worse. That's all I have to say. You're probably going to edit that out, right? I hope you don't.
It's very nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
pleasure.
All right. I pray that it will all work out, and I have faith that it will.
Thank you.
Definitely.